and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to... Oh, fuck. Oh, I lost all steam. Episode 21 of Some Random. We're live. I am your host, Sriracha Flash. And today, with me, the handsome, the beautiful, the wonderful, Pat G. What's going on, my brother? How you living?
Doing well, man. Doing well. That's quite the introduction here. I appreciate the handsome part of that, too. I mean, you don't have to flatter me, but I'll take it.
Well, listen, man. Whenever I bring people on, they haven't been on a show before, I like to puff you up a little bit, get you ready for it. I don't want to lead into like, all right, this fucking guy.
I feel like that's usually how it would go between us, but I'll take this proper introduction as well.
Well, look, that's fair. I mean, it's me. Like, if it's just me and you talking, I'd be like, hey, fuckhead, what's going on? You know what? Hold on. Full disclosure, before we continue on with the rest of the interview, Pat is actually my brother. This
all makes sense. Yeah, you're assuming.
Yeah, this will all make a lot of fucking sense. But yeah, Patrick is my brother. I wanted him on the show because we grew up playing video games together. We grew up playing fighting games together. We're probably the two most competitive people that you'll ever come across. And we don't take that shit lightly.
Very true. That's very true.
And, once I started doing the show, I like to rib Patrick for being like, oh, once I started the show, Pat wanted to be on. But in all reality, Pat is, he's a super fucking good dude. And he's one of the few people that I was like, if I was going to have casual people on, he's one of the few that I desperately want on. Because I think...
I appreciate that. I mean, like, so you started the show up, I mean, fairly, I guess a while ago. You've been doing it for a little bit now. You have it out there. So I thought it was curious because I thought it was funny to me, and you had kind of touched on it a little bit, but I thought it was funny because growing up, like, you were always like such a content guy before like content was content, if that makes any sense. So like the fact that you like went out of your way and like, honestly, I'm surprised it took you this long to start a podcast, but the fact that like you ended up getting around to it and now you're like full steam ahead, I was like, all right, man, like this is picking up some traction. Why not jump on a little bit? I mean, I don't think I have much to offer to the topic, but I think, I think it'll be nonetheless a pretty good time. So.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I kind of understand what you mean about the content thing. I guess I've always been doing this kind of shit for the longest time. This has been brewing for a while, and finally a couple months ago we got it off the ground, and now we're fucking doing it. We're doing the thing. But yeah, like I said, I wanted to have you on because for the most part, like, you're a well-spoken dude. And if there was anyone that I was going to have a conversation with that knows me intimately, probably more than anyone besides Evelyn,
I don't know about that intimate, but yeah, I mean,
it is what it is. We grew up close in a small house. It is what it is.
That's true.
So before we continue on, Pat, why don't you tell the people, who the hell are you?
I love that question because like every single time I hear something like that, it gives me automatic like PTSD when you go into like an interview and they're like, oh, and tell me a little bit about yourself. And it's like, big question. So like, do I give you like I'm like getting a job type, who am I? Or am I just giving you like, man, like this is who I am? Like
whatever you feel comfortable divulging to the people about yourself.
For the people, I mean, honestly, dude, like you know me, like I'm a laid back guy, like, except for when it comes against, I think you and I, like we've always been competitive. I mean, I'm sure you probably mentioned it on one of these shows, but I'm one of your like 6 or 7 brothers. I should know that real number off the top of my head, but the fact is there's so many of us. I have no idea. The fact is there's so many of us that it's like, oh damn, like how many do we really end up having? But no, man, I mean, at the end of the day, like I'm your little brother, but I'm a competitive guy in nature. I mean, and you know me, kind of bouncing around a little bit, city to city, job to job. So it's been fun, man. But
I mean,
all in all.
Yeah. All right. So can I bring up the jobs really quick? Will that be a bad thing if I bring up who the jobs are?
Oh, man, go ahead.
All right. So you say bouncing around city to city like you're some vagrant. That's like...
I'm a gypsy, man. Yeah, just bouncing around, just selling like goods out of my trench coat. Like, that's me.
No, but like you formerly worked for the Cleveland Browns. Now you're in Columbus working for a football club.
Football with or asterisk on the U, yeah. Football.
Yeah, football club. So yeah, no, it's not like you're like, oh man, I'm just fucking panhandling out here all around Ohio trying to get these jobs. Like you've worked in fucking high ranking jobs. So
yeah, I mean, It's I mean, yeah, it's been great. I mean, I know like this is a video game podcast and specifically fighting game podcast, but I'll go off script a little bit. But
That's fine.
growing up between us, and I think you and me mostly, like a lot of it, our relationship was built on like sports and like especially football. So whether it was like backyard, like playing like tackle football when it's like negative 10 degrees out and there's like 8 inches of ice still on the ground, but we're like, let's play tackle anyway. Or it was like playing competitive, like, or just like basketball, doing like something like active sports related. Like, I think that was like such a big part of my childhood. And it's funny, like, I guess I'll look at it this way. Like, to me, like, biggest part of my childhood, I think, was like the sporting part of it. So, like, moving forward, like, through everything, school and all that stuff, I was always like, sports is like what I want to do. And like, for me, it was like, that's what's going to happen. Like, no matter what, like, nobody can really tell me no. And then work in the NFL. So, was like, yeah, like wildly enough. I mean, I wanted to play in the NFL, but like I was 5'8" and like 120 pounds graduating high school. So, that didn't really pan out how I needed it to. But then it was ultimately like, getting in the league and then working in the league, getting that experience and stuff. But then it's funny because then you look back at it. And for you, I think a lot of it was like growing up, it was so like directed towards video games and everything. And I think we were all like passionate about it, but you were like, and this isn't meant to sound bad, but you were like over the top passionate to the point where it was like yourself the same thing. Like, I love this so much. Like, I'm going to make a career out of this. Like, I want to do something with this. So I think like when you look at it, like in that perspective, it's wild that like we both had like a very similar childhood, but like we both followed like I guess our ultimate passion, like in the end.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry if that's like super like deep,
no,
but
no, not at all.
yeah.
Look, we're men of great passion, and when we fucking followed what we wanted to follow, and we continue to do what we want to do, and I think so far it's worked out pretty goddamn well for the both of us.
I mean, my job pays the bills.
Yeah, exactly, and playing fighting games makes me broke. But other than that, like it's fucking fine. It is what it is.
Man.
But yeah, no, like I said, I wanted to have you on because I feel like you give a really good perspective to like the whole outside of the fighting games and shit like that. So I guess I'll start with like, do you remember growing up, like what were some of the fighting games that you were really deeply into? Or like what are the fighting games that like you played that you remember enjoying?
Oh man. So I think it's about to be like the start of a long tangent between us, but
No,
I think
that's okay. No,
if
hold
I
on.
was gonna throw out one, of course it's gonna be Super Smash Brothers. Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
think that was like the top fighting game, I guess you could consider. But if you're like looking at something else, it was of course like MK1, 2, 3, like God, how many more combats are there? Like 20. So, but like growing up, I think it was like great, like playing all those against each other. Now, but I thought you would ask me this question, so I was thinking about it. I was like, what's like a random like fighting game like we played as kids? And I remember like trying to think of this game like specifically, and I was like, what is this? And we played it all the time. Like, it came out like early 90s, but we played it on, I think it was a Sega, and I was like, God damn, like what is that game? And I kept thinking about it. And so finally I like broke down. I'm like, I just gotta like Google this damn thing. So I looked it up and it was Primal Rage. And
Oh
Primal Rage
hell
was
yeah.
like one of the best fighting games I think I've like ever played. Like, I remember like being Blizzard and just like going up against like you would be like Talon or somebody, and like we would just go head to head. I think that was like one of the very first fighting games I played, and I was like, damn, like I love this.
I
But
remember
yeah,
like
that one was, oh man, I loved it too much.
yeah, we played the fuck out of that. I remember Dad got me the Talon and I think Chaos like action figures that I think are still at
Oh
Grandma's house.
yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh fuck, all right, I guess I like this game more than I thought now because now I have the fucking toys.
Man, you had it all.
But like the one that I always talk about, so I have very like I know you and I played the shit out of Melee together. We would go Marth and Roy, or like Marth versus Roy. I was Marth, you were Roy, and we would go to like the Hyrule stage in Melee. And
Epic battles with that. I mean, like it got to the point, like I could have swore there was one time that we went against each other, and like one like round alone, I felt like took like 45 minutes, and it was just like ridiculous. And it was like a 3 lives like 45 minute like bout. Like it wasn't like it was, oh, you got like 20 lives or something. It was just ridiculous how like much we go back and forth. And I remember just getting so pissed off like whenever he would beat me, and I'm like, well, fuck him, like he's trash. And then I'd be like, well, let's run it back, like let's go again. And then if I ever lost like twice in a row, like, and I'm not the kind of guy to get like break a controller mad, but I remember like those would be the only times that I would. And I had like this orange GameCube controller that was like mine, that one that like I prided myself, and I was like, this is the one like I always use. And I broke that damn thing because I think he beat me like 3 or 4 times in a row, and I was like, fuck this game's ridiculous. But yeah, those were definitely some interesting matches between us.
Those were the fucking best. I remember like, and I was the same way, where I would fucking lose to you like as Roy, and I was like, well, it's fucking bullshit because Roy's like charge B move is so fucking strong, and I would run into it like an idiot. And so like I would fucking lose, and I'd just be salty as shit. Like, all right, fucking run it again, and like we'd just keep doing it, and we'd just be there for hours.
It was
like,
constant. I loved it.
That shit was the best. The ones that I always tell people about, well, the 3 that I'm always like, me and my brothers played the shit out of these games. Def Jam Fight for New York.
But I was gonna mention that too, but anyway, keep going.
I have a very specific memory. Look, this podcast is about to get super personal. You're gonna learn a lot about me and Pat today.
I was like, honestly, for like a quick second right there, I totally forgot we were already still doing this, because to me, this is such like casual banter between you and I. So like, it was funny. Like I wasn't even like, I have this like up on my laptop, and like I wasn't even looking at this. I'm kind of like just looking around my living room, and I'm like, oh fuck, like I'm still like live. Like, all right, be mindful a little bit. But anyway, yeah, you go ahead.
I have a very distinct memory. So for those that don't know, we grew up fucking dirt floor poor, man. We had some rough times, and I remember a moment. There was a time where we were staying in a motel for a while. It was me, my brothers, my sister, and our parents, or our mom and our stepdad.
Yeah.
And I remember I came home from a friend's house, or came to the motel from a friend's house. I think we were staying in the motel for the summer. Like we were legit poor as fuck. And you know, there's 9 of us cramped into like a fucking 20 by 20 room.
Man, had to do it.
But I remember we played Street Fighter Alpha 3 on the PlayStation.
Yes, dude.
And I remember just like waking up at 5 in the morning, and like you and Cody or you and Derek would be awake, like already playing. So like I would hop in, and we would just sit there fucking playing Alpha 3 for hours and hours and hours until we got up and like were forced to go outside.
That was a great game.
So there's that one, and then the third one, Tekken 2 and Tekken 3 that we played the shit out of. And Tekken 2, I say we beat probably 40 times because we didn't have a memory card. So we would unlock all the characters, play through the arcade mode with all the characters to like get all the endings and stuff like that, and then just have to leave the PlayStation on because we didn't have a memory card to save anything. So
we had so many games that were like that, and I remember like it being like that for the longest time. Like not only on like the original PlayStation, I think it was like that on the GameCube for a little bit too. But I remember like, yeah, like we would almost like take turns. It'd be like, hey man, like I just played for like 3 straight hours, like, and I beat it, or I got this far, like your turn to take over. And it was like, but don't turn it off, like don't reset it, like don't do anything. And I remember just being like so heartbroken, like when like it would get reset or like something would happen, and I'm like, all right, well fuck it, let's bring it back. Like let's just do it again.
Yeah, so. Like there was nothing we could do. Like, oh damn, we lost all of our progress. Like what do we do now? Fucking start over. Like,
yeah, that was literally it. Well, do it again. All right, fine.
I remember it got to the point where it'd be like, okay, well, we know these routes to unlock these characters that we actually want to play, and then everyone else would come after that. So we'd pick like Bake and like Ganryu in Tekken 2. There was like the kickboxer and the sumo guy, and like we get to the point where we get like Devil Kazuya and shit like that, and like, okay, these are the characters that we're playing. Like that's what we have. Like,
I think Tekken 3 might have been like my favorite one out of that whole bunch. Tekken 5 was great too, though. I remember like you know, because I feel like we played those like all the way up until like 7, I would say, for me personally at least.
Yeah.
But I think Tekken 3 and 5 might have been like my favorite with that series.
Yeah, I think 3 is definitely my favorite in the series because I think that's the one we put the most time into, and that's the one that we actually got good at and like started to learn the game of Tekken for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And and then playing like Tekken Ball and shit like that, which is like the volleyball mode, and then
that shit was wild. Like that's the thing, man. There was like those games were just so random, and it was almost like we played Dead or Alive for a little bit there too. I remember that.
Yep.
And Dead or Alive was such a wild series to me because I feel like that series went all over the place. Wasn't there like Dead or Alive like volleyball or like beach volleyball or something like that? Or am I like thinking of the random
that's the
things?
one. Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball.
Okay, yeah, I'm not. I was gonna say I don't think I'm wrong, but I remember just thinking like, man, this stuff is just off the rails. It felt, but no, man, those were great. Like, but the Def Jam. So this is what I think is hilarious about the Def Jam thing is that when we played that all the time, like I would say we played that just as much as like any other. Well, probably like Super Smash Bros. Or something because we just go like back and forth and. Oh God, it was hilarious because like every rapper back then had like some just random like nickname. But to me, like what I still think about that game is like you always played with Joe Budden, and at the time, like Joe Budden, I think was like relevant, but he wasn't like overly relevant. And the guy went like dark for years, right? Like nobody knew about Joe Budden or anything or his music or like I don't know. To me, like he was just such like a random rapper at the time. And then I mean, okay, I'm probably saying this, and there's people listening. They're just like, dude, what the hell? Like, fuck it, everybody knew Joe Budden.
Right.
But like to me, it was like he wasn't as relevant as like some of the other guys in that video game. Yeah, I mean, like at the time, geez, yeah, like Ludacris, Method Man, Redman, and all that. But it was funny because now Joe Budden's got like his big podcast. He's got like all this stuff. He's like so relevant, and like you hear about this guy constantly. And I'm like. I remember when this clown was like on Def Jam way back in the day, and I think I distinctly remember what he wore. He wore like some like dark ass jeans, and, like a red hoodie or something.
That's exactly what he fucking wore.
Like, and I was like, dude, my brother played with that guy like on this video game like all the time, and I was like, I fucking hate that guy. I hated him then, and I still hate him now. I remember thinking, I'm like, this is so like off the wall because now the guy's like relevant, and he has like one of the top podcasts like. In the United States, so I don't know. That's random, but the show's called Random, so it makes sense.
No, it's totally fine. I remember, Joe Budden and fucking David Banner were like the two guys that I was like, these are my fucking dudes. Like, cause
David Banner had like that ape shit, like it was like an ultimate or whatever you wanted to call it back then. But,
where he'd fucking like lose his mind and beat the shit out of you. Yeah, for anyone that's looking at the screen right now, this is what Joe Budden wore in Def Jam Fight for New York. And that was the shit. Did
you pull it up?
Hell yeah, I pulled it up.
Oh man.
He had the Fat Farm hoodie on with like the chain. Oh man, that was something else back in the day, man.
That's awesome. Was I right?
Yeah, you were 100% right. Like that's exactly what he's fucking rocking.
That I got that correct. Oops.
Oh man, but yeah, no, those are the shit, man.
Yeah, man, it was a good times. But yeah, no, for sure, I would say that was like one of the top. You remember? So another one is like the Soul Calibur series. I feel like we were into that for a while there too.
Yeah, I'm still Soul
Calibur. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't doubt that at all. But like Soul Calibur 2, that's the one that had Link in it, right?
Yep.
Like really grinding in that one a lot.
Yeah, the Weapon Master mode in that game was a lot of fun because it was like a story mode where like you would like go through separate levels and like once you got to a new stage you could buy like new weapons for some characters and all the weapons had different abilities. But yeah, that one had Link on the GameCube, Heihachi on the PS2, and Spawn on the Xbox. Which is fucking great because now that we have re-releases, I was actually just playing that game literally yesterday. Because Soul Calibur 2 was re-released on the Xbox One and Xbox 360. And now those versions have Heihachi and Spawn together in the game, which is fucking dope.
I used to think like whenever Spawn would appear in like any video game, it was like the greatest thing in the world. Spawn was like this, like your typical like rogue, like 90s, early 2000s like superhero, and I just thought like this guy was such a badass.
Well,
he was so wild though. Like did Danny DeVito play what's his face?
No. All right. So here's the thing. What you're thinking of the Ravager, the clown face guy, right?
Yeah.
Get ready for me to blow your fucking mind because this just came up literally 3 days ago. I'm so happy that all the shit you're talking about actually relevant. For anyone that doesn't know, we didn't script this shit. It just happens to be fucking kismet that it works out this way. That fucking clown is played by John Leguizamo. Did you have any idea?
No, not at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm fucking saying. Yeah, look, hold on. I'll fucking pull this shit up. I'll put it on the screen right now.
Hang on.
Fucking
Oh,
Spawn.
is it gonna show for me? Let me see this.
Yeah, it'll fucking show. Hold on. I will. God damn it. What's his name? Fucking Spawn movie. Jesus Christ. Okay. Spawn the movie. God damn it. Head. Jason Wynn. Blah, 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 blah. Michael Jai White played fucking Spawn in that movie, which is excellent. Yeah, John Leguizamo. Hold on. I gotta fucking pull this guy out. Spawn movie. Clown. I thought the guy's name was the fucking Ravager, but I could be wrong. Maybe
Is what is this? But that is like wildly surprising to me, and I think the reason I made like some correlation between those two is because I'm just thinking of Danny DeVito as Penguin in like Batman Returns or something.
Yes, yeah. That like they
Like,
have like similar.
To me, they're
fucking
so
statues.
like similar in like look and everything, and I'm like, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Like so yeah, it makes sense, right? I just found this out the other day that it was John Leguizamo because in my head for the longest time it was also Danny fucking DeVito.
Right.
And come to find out, no, I've just been wrong my entire life. Which
And
kind of
it's so wild to me. Like, I'm sorry, like I'm still trying to like process this a little bit because to me, like I could never peg him as a guy that would like play that. I don't know. It's wild.
yeah, it doesn't seem like a fucking John Leguizamo type, right? Which I mean, I guess it's weird to say like a John Leguizamo type, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking that same thing.
But like, because that just makes me sound weirdly racist. But no, like yeah, it doesn't look like him. It doesn't sound like him. But I guess like it's fucking heavily makeup and whatever. But
No, if I think about it now, I could be like, it definitely sounds like John Leguizamo because I think, and like this isn't. I really hope this isn't meant to like sound like rude or disrespectful, but like his lisp that he kind of has, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like if you remember from the movie, like I remember the clown like having that lisp like the entire time, and I was like, man, like that's so extreme. It all makes sense now, but I feel like I have to go back and like watch this now because I want to see like audition tapes, honestly, because I'm like, how the hell did this happen?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't understand. Like fucking shout outs to that dude for fucking pulling it off, right? And for fucking doing it. But good googly moogly, I couldn't fucking imagine.
Just like Google searching like these images of him as this character, and it's wild. Sorry, we're like I know we're like going on and on about this,
Way
like
off on the
random
fucking
ass
reads.
stuff, but
For anyone that's like watching the video, his fucking picture is up right now. If you like have never seen this fucking clown before, also go watch Spawn. But all right,
by the way,
yeah,
check that movie out.
go watch Spawn, and then go watch the HBO cartoon series on Spawn, which was like one of the first like adult cartoons I remember watching besides Cowboy Bebop.
That was actually very good. I remember that.
Yeah, super solid. But you know what? Speaking of Spawn and Soul Calibur, that actually transitions really well into one of my first actual questions for you. Besides, who the fuck are you, and how much time have you spent playing video games or fighting games? So, all right, a lot of games nowadays, like Mortal Kombat 11, recently, today actually, October, what's today? October 8th, added the Terminator to the roster. And then they also have Spawn coming to the roster in the future.
That.
And you know, like Tekken has Negan from The Walking Dead in it now. And they have like a bunch of guest characters that are on the roster and like coming to the roster. So when you see this stuff, like, oh, this like famous character is coming, or like this like guest character is coming, does that like influence you at all in wanting to pick up those fighting games in order to play those characters?
So that's actually a really good question, especially for like I think somebody like me who's like I would say the casual gamer. Like I'm like the casual gamer when it comes to like fighting games, I think specifically because I mean you know me, like I play like my fair share like amount of video games, but a lot of it consists of like the Resident Evil series, which oh my god, but like love that stuff. But you know, like your typical like Call of Duty and or Madden and stuff like that. But when it comes to like things like Mortal Kombat, like when they incorporate, I guess like TV show characters or like somebody else that's like relatable to like I guess just your average fan, like whole a little bit. But like for me, a lot of it is like I'm already like invested into like the Mortal Kombat series, right? Like I would already like have been playing that prior to like anybody else arriving. I think for me, it's more of like, it's like a nice like little incentive. But I think like if you're looking at somebody who maybe isn't really like that into it, like is like, well, fighting games really aren't for me, but then they see somebody like that come across, I don't think that necessarily would like drive this individual to purchase like that video game, if that makes sense. Like I think it's good, and I think it's like great because I think it definitely does draw in a little bit more of the casual gamer, but I don't think like something like that would necessarily like make somebody pick up a controller and be like, this is where I want to like take things now. Because you would probably know better than me, but I feel like gaming community in general like are just maybe like just take different routes, or maybe are just like more interested in like certain series of video games, whether that be like fighting games, RPGs, or just be like, I mean, now it's like the battle royale stuff, but no, like I don't think like for me like that's a big draw. I just think it's like a nice little incentive to kind of like play the game a little bit more.
Okay, yeah, no, that's totally fair. It seems like every person that I've had on who answers that question, they're like, it's cool, but it wouldn't make me want to pick up the game. Which I totally understand. Like that's a big investment. Like on top of paying like, let's say even the game's on sale for $30, right? Then you still have to pay another $5 for that character, or another $20 for the character pass, or even picking up a Game of the Year edition later on down the line to even play that character like a year after it comes out. So yeah, like it is definitely like a heavy investment into like wanting to play a character for what might amount to like a couple hours and then put it down.
Yeah. Well, it's like I mean, it's almost because they don't only do it with like the fighting games too, right? Like they do it with like Call of Duty did it. God, this is like probably don't want to mention this guy's name, but like Kevin Spacey was in something, right? Like a couple of years back, and then you have what's the guy's name from The Walking Dead? What's his name?
Negan?
No, not Negan. The guy who plays Punisher.
Oh, John Bernthal.
That his name?
Yeah, that's his actual actor name.
Okay, well, like yeah, like he's been in like some stuff too, or he's gonna be out in something, and then God, it feels like everybody from The Walking Dead is in a video game too. Because what's that other dude's name with the bone arrow? That's I actually should know this because he's from Reservoir Dogs, but not Reservoir Dogs, Boondock Saints.
Yeah, he's from Boondock Saints. You're talking about Norman Reedus.
Yes. So like the thing is I mean you have like all these guys, and now like what Keanu Reeves is in something too coming out next year, but like I mean they do it with so many different games now, and like I think it's like it's such a in-depth question, because I think there's so many different like routes or reasons that like people try to like plug and play these like high class names and stuff like that. But for me, like I said, like I wouldn't necessarily go out and buy this game because of like Keanu Reeves is in this, right? Like I think it's just like, wow, like that's kind of like I'm gonna try it out anyway. But
right. I mean it's. Yeah, the more people I ask about it, the more I get that same response, and it makes a lot of sense. But it seems to be they're including these characters and like these people and these actors specifically for this reason, to draw in a casual crowd. But the more I talk to people about it, the less inclined they seem to be to want to do that thing, which totally makes sense. Like that's like I wouldn't want to pay $60 to fucking see someone's face for what might be like an hour in game time.
Like it's just, to me, like that's just. Whatever. It's pointless. Yeah. Honestly, in my mind, I'm like, I'd have played it anyway. So
right. So yeah, no, totally fine. So if that's not enough to draw you into wanting to play a game, is there like a way that a fighting game could get you to want to pick it up? So like let's say you and I want to play like Street Fighter, right? And obviously I've been grinding on Street Fighter for years and years now. And you're like, well, I know I'm probably going to fucking lose, blah, 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 like, whatever. And that's not, like, an insult to you or, like, sucking my own dick or anything, but, like...
Yeah, but if we're being honest, like, I'd probably best you. But anyway, like...
But, like, you're thrown into an environment where you're definitely not on an even playing field. But, like, let's say, if there was a mechanic to make it easier for you to be on the same level as me, like, King of Fighters 14 and Dragon Ball Fighters recently had this, where, like... and I think Eunice, Under Night In-Birth, has this as well, where you can mash square and you can get a full combo off. That uses some resources if you have them, but like it's a very viable combo. And like, there's definitely like easy super moves and stuff like that. You know, you can press like 2 buttons in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and like a full super comes out with all your characters and stuff like that. Although Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is a super difficult, like hard to get down game at like the top level. But are there mechanics like that would make you want to be like, yeah, like I wouldn't mind picking up that game because like at least I know I can compete with people who have been doing it for a long time.
I think it's like a nice option to have, like for sure. Because I think there's definitely like those people that would a little bit more, maybe like be a little bit more interested if like they weren't getting dusted every single time they pick up a controller. But I mean, for me personally, like figuring out like the combos and like doing like all this like timing and everything, like that's what I enjoy about like the fighting game part of it. So I would say, and this is a couple years ago now, so it's kind of gives you a history of my fighting game experience. But the most recent game I've done that with was Mortal Kombat X or 10. I actually did put in like some time. Like I was actually like practicing, like doing my own thing. I was like doing like playing online and doing like that for a little bit. But that's one that I actually like picked up a little bit and I enjoyed it. And I think, but the biggest reason I think that I was like kind of drawn to that a little bit more is just because of the series name itself, right? Like I don't think that I would, at least this point right now, like I don't think there's any like specific fighting game that I necessarily just be like, oh, like that looks good to me, like that looks appealing. Just because I think like the games that are most appealing to me are like RPG games, like stuff that like story tells a little bit, something you kind of get invested in. I think the most recent one that I've played like that would have been like Days Gone. And then of course the one that's going to be most interesting to me coming out is The Last of Us 2, which I cannot wait for that fucking game to come out. But yeah, no, like back to like the fighting game part of it, like I don't think that just like it necessarily making it easier would make me want to like, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, no, totally fine. Like I said, I understand like that gap is kind of hard to bridge, and it's super hard to make it accessible for people who are new to the fighting game series and like easy to play, but also make it deep enough for people who are very into fighting games to want to continue to play the game.
Oh, for sure.
You know, there's like there has to be a happy medium somewhere, I believe. But yeah, no, that. I feel like taking away the challenge of playing a fighting game sometimes might hurt it. But there are games like Fantasy Strike that are super, super easy and super accessible because that game lays out in front of you exactly what you have to do and like what you can do. And it strips down your options to very few. Like you're not blocking like high-low. Like there are no lows in the game. Like you're either blocking right or you're blocking left. Then you like all your special moves are mapped to a button. You know, there's no like Hadouken inputs like quarter circle forward. There's no like double quarter circle for a super or anything like that. Like it's all mapped to one button. And while that game is very simple and very accessible, I understand why some people are like, well, I will play this, but I'm not going to get super into it because it doesn't have the depth for me.
Right.
Which I think I disagree with. Like I think there is depth to that game, but like it's hard to market it that, you know, to make people want to play that. Like anyone can hop in and play, but if anyone can hop in and play, like how deep is it for me? You know, it is very hard to sell people on that idea.
Yeah, I think you kind of like bring a good point to it too. Like, yeah, I mean, like I think the fighting game community in general, I think it's like, from my understanding, right? Like as an outsider looking in and like really just basing it off the information that I see on your Twitter, and what I've listened to on this podcast. But I think like that community it's so rooted in, from what I've seen, like you guys are like very passionate about what you do and you guys are like so invested. But now correct me if I'm wrong, but like, is this demographic, like, are you seeing like a lot of increase of the younger generation, like games, like getting more invested into it? Or is a lot of it just like guys like our age, right? That have like already grown up, like these were really the only games that we had growing up. There really weren't many other options. I mean, everything was pretty much fighting games, whether it's like arcade or a lot of the things were like Nintendo with like Mortal Kombat and Sega Genesis, Dreamcast even had a few things. But is that demographic like, you know, mainly individuals in like their like mid 20s or in like up, or are you seeing like kids that are like, you know, maybe like 14 years old and maybe like that around that age that are getting into this community a little bit more?
So the FGC is consistently growing. Slowly but surely we're growing. And we've definitely had a large influx of players in the last couple of years. Most notably Punk who is a Street Fighter 5 player and currently probably one of the best, probably top 3 players in the world. I think him, Problem
Shout out Punk, right?
Yeah, shout out to Punk. Yeah, shout outs to Punk for real. I think it's him, Bonchan, and Problem X are probably the top 3 in the world right now. But Bonchan is in his 30s. Punk, I think, is like 20, maybe 19, and I'm not sure the age on Problem X. I think he might be in his mid 20s. But we've had guys like Satoshi, the 9-year-old, who recently went to Evo, and he did really well actually. Like I think he went like 5-2 or 6-2 playing Dragon Ball FighterZ. As like a 9-year-old, and the community, God, I forget, Majin Obama and Jayuna run a program out there called Fighting Tuesdays, which is their local, and they actually put money up for this kid to go play Dragon Ball FighterZ, and this 9-year-old plays it. And sorry, this is a quick tangent, and we actually discussed this on the last episode. But just really quick, for anyone that doesn't know, no, you're totally fine. We didn't discuss this exact one, just the Satoshi. I hope that's his name. I hope I'm getting it right. But this 9-year-old kid started playing Dragon Ball FighterZ, wanted to travel. Then his dad, who's in his 40s, who doesn't play fighting games, was like, well, I guess I better pick it up because I got to take my kid to all these events. So now his dad is playing fighting games too, and like they played together. And most recently, they had to play against each other in bracket, like on stream, and the fucking kid won.
Wild.
Yeah, which is like a great story. But yeah, I think we are seeing like a large influx of talent, specifically with like Smash Ultimate now, because games like Smash Melee and a lot of those open the doors for that community. And when Ultimate comes out and like it definitely reaches to a larger audience, we're definitely bringing in younger kids and stuff like that. And a lot of guys definitely fade away from
weird. Like if that's out of context, sorry anybody. Like that's not what it sounds like. But,
no, no, not at all. But like you see older guys fade away and stuff like that because you get older and like shit kind of changes. To go to an event I'll break it down really quick. For me to go to Combo Breaker, I was paying. I drove down there, so I'm gonna say about $70 in gas there and back. Being nice with it, $70 in gas. I had to pay $500 for my hotel room to be there for the 3 days or 4 days, whatever it was. On top of the venue fees and the games that I was playing. Which I think came out to like $100 or $120. And then on top of some medical bills. But we're going to ignore those for now. But like food and like entering side tournaments and drinks and stuff like that, I think that alone racked up like $800. Like it's expensive to go to these majors. And like Michigan Masters.
Was that one in Chicago or was that in like Detroit? Where was that at?
That was in St. Charles, so just south of Chicago.
I was trying to remember which one, like where that was. I know you've traveled, I think a decent amount, right, for everything that you've done. So
yeah, we'll be going.
That's just me trying to keep track.
No, you're totally fine. Yeah, that one's in Chicago. We'll be going to I think Florida and Las Vegas next year. But yeah, and then Michigan Masters in Detroit. That one's a little bit cheaper. I think that one cost me about $400 for the weekend. But like. That's not including drinks and food and shit like that, So like this stuff definitely adds up. So it gets harder as like people grow older and they leave, and they just can't put the same focus and time into it. So there are definitely a bunch of older guys who still play. Alex Valle being one of the most notable. Daigo Umehara, Justin Wong. Those guys have been around forever, and they continue to make a career out of this. So they do really well. So I definitely think some of the older talent is like weeding out, and some of the newer talent is starting to flourish and get better. And we're definitely drawing more in. And as the FGC grows, I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens going forward. But I do think that young talent will eventually continue to take over.
And I think you're right there too, because I mean, at the end of the day, like it's not, and this is like for anybody really that ever has played video games, like not every single person is going to be like, well, battle royale games are like what's in right now. Like that's the only thing that's going to like draw people. And I think you see it like. And this is just me, like from my personal experience and like the games that I kind of play and enjoy. But like from the Call of Duty like aspect of it, I think when they came out with Black Ops 4, and I think they were trying to compete with like the Fortnite and like other battle royale stuff like PUBG, and like they came out with like Blackout. But for me, like personally, when I play like Call of Duty, like I love playing like the campaign part of things, and I love like the story mode, like telling it apart. Like I don't think you should ever really like pigeonhole yourself to like one thing. And I think like that kind of goes for the same of like anybody that plays video games. Like not everybody's going to like that stuff. Not everybody's going to like the RPG stuff. Like I think there's definitely going to be some influx of like like you said, like a younger generation that is going to be like invested in these fighting games. And like maybe that circles back to like what we talked about. Maybe like that's why they want to incorporate like all these notable characters. Now, I don't think the younger generation is really going to know or care too much about who the Terminator is, but I think like there's definitely some kind of like draw in, and like maybe they look at that as like, okay, maybe this is what's going to get like these younger kids or like these younger like gamers to like kind of get on board a little bit more, and like maybe they can kind of draw a little bit more crowd from that way. But I mean, like I said, I think it's a study, man. It's a case study, man. Let's look into this a little bit. But yeah, no, I think there's definitely a lot more that goes into it than that.
Yeah, for sure. And I do, and you know, it's with all things. You know, it's with sports, with careers and stuff like that. Obviously, the younger talent's always going to come in and eventually take over. But I definitely feel like we're drawing younger viewers and like younger crowds to the FGC these days who are seeing this now more publicized, right? Because back in the day, if you wanted to fucking watch Evo, you had to bootleg a VHS off of somebody that like out of the back of a fan that like knew somebody at an arcade, right? But now, like, you load up Twitch, and on Evo weekend, like, Evo is front and center, like, on the Twitch main page. So I definitely think it is drawing a younger crowd in. And I want to say we're making it more accessible. That's a tricky minefield to like, go through because, you know...
I'll let you handle that one.
Yeah, old guys are stuck in their ways, right? So if a game that they don't like is out and popular, and they're a notable player... they'll shit on the game. Street Fighter V draws a lot of hate from older Street Fighter veterans who grew up playing 4, or who played 4 most of their career. So that one gets shit on by them. So you see a younger crowd, and like that younger crowd goes, "Oh, I watched this guy growing up, blah blah blah. Like I want to see what he's doing now." And you see that guy shitting on Street Fighter V, and they go, "Oh yeah, that game sucks," because my favorite player, the guy that I grew up like, he was really good. He says that game sucks, and like that kind of permeates. Like throughout, you know, it's really hard to convince a game to convince people that a game is alive and well when you have people shitting on the game because they don't like it compared to games that they previously liked.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too, though.
So I think it's important for role models in the FGC to step up and say like, "Hey, man, there's a very fine distinction between I don't like this thing and this thing is bad. Those are two very different things. I don't like." You know, some games, that doesn't mean they're bad. You can not like some games, that doesn't mean they're bad. Just because you don't like them means that those things are a poor quality product. And just because I like something, like I don't know, what's a fucking game that I like? Soul Calibur 6. Just because I like something doesn't make that game good. It just means that I enjoy it. So I think.
Yeah, everybody's like kind of entitled their own way. So no, I think you got a good point there. Like, I think people in general are just so easily influenced, and oh god, this sounds so like generic, and everybody always says this, but it's like social media, right? Like people see one thing, they're like, oh man, like let me grab onto that, let me gravitate a little bit. But no, I mean, I think definitely everybody should kind of form their own opinion when it comes to stuff like this. Like me personally, like I would willingly pick up like any game, I would try it out myself, but like me as a casual like fighting game, like, you know, gamer, like I don't think I would be able to distinguish very much like this is what's wrong with this one, or like this is what's not as good as like maybe something else. So I think that's where it kind of gets tricky too, right? Because like somebody like you can definitely nitpick and small things like that. Me, I just be like, man, like this isn't a bad game, like this is pretty good. So
right. Yeah, it's very fucking hard, you know. I don't know.
Figure it out, dude.
Yeah, look, fucking
fix this shit.
Yeah, figure it out. Fucking people step up and understand that you have an audience, that you have an audience whether you want it or not. You've created yourself as an entity that has an audience. Understand that your words and actions carry weight, and use that weight responsibly. That's
heavy. Let's go.
That's the only fucking thing I had. There we go. Hold on. All right, we'll end that fucking note because I'm tired.
Get up on your soapbox, dude.
Listen, I will. Hold on. All right, I will get up on my soapbox for a second. I'm gonna continue on it then. Fucking understand that your words have weight. Use that weight responsibly. If you want to hate on something, you better fucking carry that with a caveat that, look, I'm gonna trash this because I don't like it. But you should still go out and try this thing or do this thing to understand whether or not you like it first. because taking someone's blind opinion on whether or not they like something is a very fucking weird way to live your life. If someone came up to you and was like, your mom's fucking cooking sucks, you wouldn't go, yeah, you're right, I guess my mom's cooking does suck. You would go, no, man, I've had it, I think it's good. Because they're two very fucking different opinions. Like, you can't, like, go through life letting someone go, this sucks. Have you tried this? No? Trust me, it sucks. Yeah. Like, with the exception... Alright, well, like Body Novel in the chat says, with the exception of the Lakers. Fuck the Lakers. Agreed. Fuck the Lakers.
Let's go!
Let's go. Alright, so, listen.
I don't even know half the shit you're talking about.
Yeah, look, that's totally fine. Totally fine. So I'll get off that. I want to bring it back to fighting games for a second because you brought up the campaign mode in Call of Duty. And most recently, the NRS games, NetherRealm Studios, have become very popular for having like story modes in their fighting games. Mortal Kombat 11, X, Injustice 1 and 2, and 9.
Ooh, Mortal Kombat X was great. I love that story mode. Sorry if that's an unpopular opinion on here.
No,
but I was a big fan of that. That was actually... So I didn't buy MK11, but like when I was looking to get it, like it's like, whoa, well, if you're fucking talking about looking to get it, but you didn't get it, okay, your fucking opinion's irrelevant. But anyway, like... When I was looking at MK11, like, honestly, I was like, fuck, like, the really big reason I want to play that is, like, the story mode, and there was so much, like, and I think, like, they do such a really good job with, like, I think NetherRealm does a really good job at, like, hyping everything up, and granted, like, it's a storied, like, franchise already, but, like, leading up into it, like, just, like, I saw so much. I think they, like, market, like, that product very well. I think they, like, reference a lot of, like nostalgic memories for like people that like grew up playing those Mortal Kombat games. So like when you see in like a lot of these like people come back that you're like, oh fuck, like I thought they were gone, which I'm not even gonna get into like the Mortal Kombat like timeline storyline because Jesus Christ, like it makes absolutely no sense to me, and it like bounced around all over the place. I had a tough time keeping like track like who's dead, who's alive, but like when you bring like Cabal back and like Liu Kang back and like all these guys that you're like, oh shit, man, like this is wild. Is Rain in this one or Smoke was in this one? MK11?
Neither one are, unfortunately.
Well, fuck, now there's an egg on my face. But anyway, like to me, like it was just so wild because I remember like just seeing a lot of these things and I'm like, shit, like that looks great. And I think they did a good job when they were marketing it, like whether you're watching like commercial or if you like saw it on social media, but like they like told a story when they were doing it, all of it. And like I think like for me, most about playing any video game at all, like it really doesn't matter what it is, but like I love a good storyline, and I think like that's why I love the Resident Evil series so much because it's this consistent storyline. I think like it has like consistent characters as well. Okay, that's like with a little asterisk next to it, but to like like those references like those like Leon, Chris, Jill, and shit. But no, like for me, like the biggest draw to any video game whatsoever is a storyline. Like I love playing a good story.
Okay, see, so well, you answered my question before I could ask it then, which is perfect.
Sorry.
No. You're totally fucking fine. You're more than welcome to go off and talk about it. Which is like, if there is a fighting game like Mortal Kombat 11 that has a story mode that you've enjoyed or like you've heard good things about, does that make you want to pick up and buy that game to experience the story mode of a fighting game? Knowing that, like, at the gameplay level, you're still, like, playing a fighting game between cutscenes. But, like...
So, yeah, I mean, personally for me, I think, like, that would be more of a draw than seeing, like, the Terminator in it. And that's, like, nothing against that, because I think, like, that's a cool addition, right? But, like, for me, I think the storyline or story mode aspect of it is more enticing for sure. Okay.
Look, that's totally fine. Because Body Novel in the chat actually has a question that kind of relates to that, which works out really well. So, like I said, like a fighting game story mode is essentially a fight, like a fighting round match, a cutscene, and then another like round of fighting. So, and that's perfectly fine. If you enjoy that, you enjoy that. You know, I enjoy that. Like, I really like it. But if they were to put you in specific like mission modes, like in Madden, where they put you in like a tailored environment and ask you to achieve a unique goal. Let's say, you know, in the first Injustice, they had mini games before the fights. So, like, as the Joker, you would, like, try to match, like, a combination of buttons, and, like, you would throw cards and do damage to whoever you were going to fight against, and stuff like that. I forget who the character was. But, like, or, like, let's say they put you in a scenario where it was, like, land 3 jump attacks because that's what's gonna happen in the cutscene or something like that. Would something like that be more interesting to you, or like, are you happy just being like, I want to fight it out, watch a cutscene, and then go to like the next fight scene?
No, because like honestly, like I think I enjoy those things a little bit because MK10 was like that, right? Like
Yeah.
I think it had, well, it had like your like cutscene, but also had like it had like an interactive cutscene. But no, I think like I enjoy like those little parts rather than just like, because I think if you go the other route, right? Like if you just go like cutscene, okay, go back into it. It almost feels like it's like a sped up process where like if you go like there's more like involvement between those cutscenes or like any kind of mini game, whatever it might be. I feel like it's like consistently like drawing you in and like keeping you interested. Especially like fuck, I feel like I have ADHD like most of the time, but like sorry if that's like a very rude thing to say, but like I think like going into it consistently, like being drawn in, like having some kind of like involvement, like that is what would make me stay interested rather than just being like, okay, like let's get the story mode over with.
Right. Yeah. I really wish that the games had more of that, and I wish they really did develop characters better. But like, let's say there was something like, let's say a Street Fighter game, right, which they added a story mode to, which was fucking ass. But like, let's say instead of going like fight scene or like fight cutscene, fight on and on and on and on like that, what if it was like a side scroller like Final Fight or Streets of Rage? Would like that be more interesting for you? Like with using the fighting game engine, you know? So like, let's say in Mortal Kombat as Scorpion, you're running through a fucking forest or something like that, like taking on enemies one by one.
Yeah.
Like, is that more interesting for you instead of like like the fighting game itself?
I think to an extent, I think like could be like some involvement, but at the same time, like you almost don't want to like overload it like with the storyline because then I feel like you're kind of taking away the attention like from really what it is, right? Like trying to tell a story, but I think if you like throw too much involvement with that, like you just like lose sight of like what the overall task is. So I might be contradicting myself with that, but
No, you're totally fine. Like I said, it's you would want something that was like Resident Evil 4 style QTEs.
I love it.
Yeah, the Krauser fight, fucking shout out to fucking Krauser.
So great.
Dude,
so great.
We fucking died on that knife part so many times.
I just played that. So quick side note, I just played that again because I have it on my PlayStation still, and I was like, and I haven't played it in I don't know a couple of years now. But I was like, just loaded it back up, and I was like, man, like I want to play like Run Mercenaries real quick, and I fucking like pulled it up, and I was like, man, like I wonder like what my high scores and stuff on this are, and like they were just like, this is when I was like heavily playing that again, and I was just like every single damn day, and like I couldn't even come close to like touching some of those damn scores, but I was Krauser in one of them, and I had like 120,000 or something like that, and I was like, yeah, fuck this, like I was too good once upon a time, and like I don't think I'm gonna get back to that point, but wow, what a great game. Sorry, but like that's probably top 3 all-time favorite games.
You don't have to make excuses for bringing up Resident Evil on this show. I'm a fucking, you know me, I fucking love Resident Evil. I'll talk about Resident Evil all day. I think 3, 4, and 2 are the top 3 best Resident Evil games. With 3 being number 1 for me.
4, and 2. Okay.
Yeah. 3, 4, 2, and then 0, then 1, and then 7, 5, and then 6. Oh fuck. Code Veronica before Resident Evil 7.
I think that's a pretty good list. Where does the remake of RE2 fall in there?
So the remake of RE2, fuck. Okay.
Because I would put that one above 7.
Yeah, that one definitely goes above 7. And I think the remake of 1 just replaces 1 entirely. Like, 1 might be on the bottom of Resident Evil 6 as far as I'm concerned. Because the Resident Evil remake on GameCube, like,
so good, dude,
captures what they wanted to do with that game.
Unbelievable game. It was like that. It's wild. It's almost like just right, and like I mean they did a great job because ultimately like that kickstarted like just an incredible series, and I think like an incredible like series of games in general. But like the remake, on the GameCube was so damn good, and I loved that game.
That game is damn near perfect.
Yeah.
Because they nailed everything that they wanted to get. It nails the horror aspect. It like 100% tells a story. It develops characters. It makes you feel like you are fucking trapped in like something completely awful has happened. Like, and you have to figure out what the fuck happened, right? It definitely, I don't know. I think that is a masterpiece of a game. The remake is just so good. So yeah, I think that one, and I think 2, but 3 is my favorite. I think 3 is one of my favorite games of all time.
And 3 was amazing. 3 was so good. If they did, love it if this happened, to be honest. But if they did to 3 what they did for 2, like I would be first in line to like play that, because I think that would be an unbelievable series. But like, and I've already put so much time into this, and it's funny because I think when that game came out, like you and I were like texting and like back and forth and like, where you at on this? And like it was almost like, it was funny because it felt like we were kids again, because we were going back to like, who the hell can like beat this game first? And I remember like sitting at work and I'm like, man, like that fucker's probably just getting ahead of me so much right now. And I was like, I'm gonna go home. Like I like went home early, like 2 days, and I was like, I'm just gonna go home and like rep this out real quick. But like that game, I think was so well done, and it was like it drew me back a little bit to the whole series. I thought 7 was great, because it went like back to that first person shooter, which I was a little hesitant, but when they did like the first person shooter in 7, it was like so damn unnerving. When like you would be like running around, you can like almost feel like Jack behind you, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, like this is terrifying. And this just kind of circles back to that, like you tweeted at me the other day about like scary games, like terrifying games, like growing up. And this game like almost like brought back all that like childhood PTSD. So it was great.
I played 7 in VR at a friend's house like a year ago.
Oh god,
that fucking changed me as a person. Like,
I never played it in VR.
Oh, dude, the first it's a completely different experience. The first time you're in the basement and a fucking molded comes around the corner, that'll fucking change your life. Fucking, like to this day, I'm still like weird around corners at nighttime, man. Like just in case, I don't know what the fuck's out there. It's it is something else.
Love it.
I was talking with a friend Brett about a couple weeks ago about Resident Evil 3 if they did remake it like 2. And he was talking like if they remake it and if they do it in that style, that he wants Nemesis to be more oppressive than the Tyrant is. And I was trying to think of how they could do it, right? Because like Tyrant for the most part is like scary, but like you can avoid him pretty well. So yeah. I was thinking like if Nemesis was a thing, right? If he was persistent, if he's like destroying save rooms, like he fucking comes through and like, no, your progress is gone. Like, you cannot save here anymore.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, but I want something like that, you know? I want, like, you to have to make snap decisions, and whatever choice you make, there's no going back. Like, if you decide to go left down a hallway, then right, and, like, you cannot go back because Nemesis is there. Like, I want him to be...
So I think like that's actually a really good point, and I actually like thinking about it now. I actually really love that idea because that's what 3, the original game, actually did. Remember, because like when they would have like the little, I don't even know, they weren't like the cut scenes, but they were like those decisions, right? And I think that was like one of the earlier games where you really like you had to make a decision, and ultimately like what you decided to do like affected like the rest of the gameplay. So it was like either flee or it was like stay here and like fight the Nemesis. And then what was it? It's like if you stayed and fought him like every single time, you always pick up like a part to like a magnum or something like that.
Yeah. So
and then you can have like a game or something.
The first time you fight him, you get the handgun parts A, then the handgun parts B, and that creates the M9 Eagle. The third time you fight him, you get the first aid spray canisters. The fourth and fifth time, you get the M37 shotgun parts. The sixth time, you get another first aid canister. And if you're on New Game Plus or you're playing it a second or third time, when you beat him a seventh time, you get an item that gives you unlimited ammo for any gun that you want to equip it with. So it always made fighting the Nemesis worth it. And I only know this because I just recently played through Resident Evil 3 again on my Twitch channel.
You did that. You like racked those off pretty quick. I was like, well, shit. All right, have you played this before, dude? Like,
but yeah, also like I said, it's one of my favorite games of all time. So I have this shit burned into my memory. But yeah, the importance of choice in your actions in that game are super fucking huge because minor things that you do. So let's say you fight Nemesis the very first time you get to the Raccoon City Police Department, right? You fight Nemesis, and then, or you can choose to go inside. If you choose to go inside, you have to go and find Jill's license, or it might be Chris's license. I can't remember. The Stars ID.
I think it's Chris's.
Yeah, I think it is Chris's. You have to find the Stars ID to unlock the computer, to get the passcode, to get the key, to get the fuck out of the station, and like move on, right? If you choose to fight the Nemesis, you can still just go inside after beating the Nemesis and have to do the exact same thing. And there will be 3 green herbs along the wall. If you fight Nemesis and then inspect Brad's dead body, spoilers, Brad fucking dies. It's on the cover of the game. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm sure for everybody that's listening, that's like, oh shit, Brad dies? Like, fuck.
If you inspect Brad's body, you get a wallet. If you inspect the wallet, you get Brad's ID. So you no longer have to find Chris's ID, but when you go inside, the herbs are in different places. And now instead of there being handgun ammo on the desk, it's fucking gone. Like, now like the handgun ammo is in a different place. And it might not even be handgun ammo. It might be shotgun ammo for a gun that you don't have yet. Like
that.
The importance of choice in that game and like the amount of things that you can do and the minuscule like details in that game make it feel so like the world feels so alive and every choice matters. So if they brought that to the remake where every single choice that you made mattered to the point where, you know, if you decide to pick up an item and do something early, the Nemesis might fight you in a fucking hallway later on because you happen to get there sooner than you're supposed to, that's the shit that I want. And I don't know.
Like that a lot too because like yeah, I mean it just to me something like that, it's like you said, it's like it's such like a decision making like type process, but at the same time it's like fuck, there are so many different outcomes to this. And whereas like I feel like most of those games are like very predictable and I feel like you can kind of just be like, all right, like I can get around this because of like, okay, I just made like this decision or I saved here, so like my ass is actually good for whatever the fuck I decide to do next. Which granted like Resident Evil like I think in all games has done like a better job about that. Like you, even like the earlier ones, you'd have to like get like ink ribbons and stuff like that, or like there would be less ink ribbons in like RE1 and stuff like that. But I think if they were to remake 3 and they were to do it along those lines, like I would love it. But you got to make that like how other game modes are. You got to make it like this is a game mode.
Yeah.
And then there's essentially like another one where it's like your typical like run through. But no, I would love it, man. I mean. And do whatever you want with the Resident Evil series. Like, I am all in on every part of it. Because, like I said, like that, I think out of all the games I've played, like growing up, that has been like the most consistent and the one that I've always been invested, like more than anything. Because like I always feel like a kid again when like a new one's coming out because I'm always like, oh, let me refresh like my memory about like the timeline with this. So I like go on like YouTube and I'll like look something up or I'll like watch like run throughs of this shit. I'm like, oh man, like I love it. And I did the same thing with like Resident Evil 2. I played like all the extras and everything like that. So yeah, man, do whatever the fuck you want to that series. Just keep it around.
Yeah, yeah, for real. That's just as long as that series can survive, like have offshoots. As long as you don't bring back like Resident Evil Survivor, then I think we'll be okay.
Dude. Speaking of which, though, okay, that fucking game, like, oh god, that was such a freaking series, but
that's a fucking headache.
That was such a frustrating about it. But speaking of which, what is it called? Was it Project or Resistance or something like that, or was it the new thing they just came out with?
Right, Project Resistance.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm really curious to see what they did like an early release, but it was only for people on Xbox, and I don't have one of those. So I was like super salty because I really wanted to check it out. But did you play it?
I have not. If you go to the rdnet.com, or there might be rd.net. I don't know what the fuck their website is. Google it, y'all. Fucking Resident Evil whatever the hell. You can sign up for an RDNet account. And you can be entered into the closed beta, and they randomly select people that they'll give codes on PS4 and Xbox and PC, I believe. Yeah. So you might be able to get early access to it if you want to sign up. But yeah, that game looks like. Have you played Dead by Daylight or the Friday the 13th game at all? Or
I played Daylight. I did not play the Friday the 13th. I should have just. It was like a free game at one point, and I didn't download it. But
I think that's what it's kind of like. Like there's one person like controlling and like maneuvering like monsters and stuff like that, and the other four people have to survive and like get to an objective.
Yeah, and they all have like different like abilities essentially to like help them get through the whole process and shit.
So I believe it's more like that, but I don't want to speak too much out of turn without like saying 100% that I know what the hell it is. But from everything I've seen, I believe it's kind of like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
But all right, so let's steer this back to the FGC for just a little bit, and then we'll get to some closing thoughts and we'll let you out of here. All right.
Do it.
Okay, so how do you view like the FGC and the events surrounding the FGC? Now, understanding that I understand that your exposure to it, for the most part, has been like directly through me and like my Twitter account and like my retellings and like when we meet up at fucking family reunions and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
So like I understand like you might have a limited scope, but like of the FGC, like what do you see, or like are there any times like on Twitch where you're like, oh fuck, like there's a fighting game tournament going on or something like that? Like, how do you see the community itself?
So I kind of like touched on it a little bit earlier, but like, and this is like, so, like I said, I don't want to upset anybody like when I like go on like this, because like at the end of the day, like my knowledge of the FGC is like very limited in general, but I think like my view of the FGC, right, is it's such a like a tight knit group of like individuals, but to me it's like it's like the passionate gamers, and that's kind of why I brought the question up a little bit earlier about like what's the demographic like for like some of these people, and you know, you kind of saying it is like a lot of the people like our age or like maybe a little bit older, but to me it's because like those are like the individuals that like grew up like so like deeply invested in these things, and those are the people that were like, I want to do something with this and I'm going to continue to do something like this. Like, this is weird, but like it's pretty much like they were doing this like before it was like cool, right? Because like now, I mean, there's just so much shit out there with like everybody's like, oh well, like my kid dropped out of like middle school because like he's gonna be like a professional gamer. But it's like, but like you guys, I think were so deeply invested in like your vision and like what you wanted to do with it like a long time ago. And I think the amount of like dedication that it's going into it, like travel and stuff, just from like talking to you alone, like done like a lot of like extensive traveling, like, you know, out to, you know, out west and stuff like that yet. But I mean, you've invested a lot of your time and money and like knowing like the sacrifice and stuff you had to make. But I think like just me knowing that, I can assume that like that's probably what the rest of the community is like as well, right? So for me, like I love anybody that's passionate about something. Like to me, if like you're not fucking passionate about anything, like what the hell are you doing? But I love seeing that, and like all the stuff that you retweet, and every time you're like, oh, vote for me on this. Like I love like backing it up, because I'm like, well, fuck, man, like everybody's out there like trying to make a name for themselves and do something, right? So for me, like a lot of it is I don't know much about like the gaming aspect of it itself, but just from like an outsider looking in, you can kind of just like that these people are like very, very deeply rooted in what they do. And I think it's great because I think like you guys like all support each other, right? Like everybody's always like, okay, well, let me like back you up on this, or like even like something like this, right? Like you starting your own podcast, some of like the listeners and subscribers and stuff that you have, like it's not just family, like it's people that like you've met like through like some of like the tournaments and stuff that you've gone to, or it's like your social following. It's like a lot of those different things. So I love seeing that like everybody's like got each other's back, and I love seeing that like, fuck, man, like let's do what we can to like keep this alive, thriving, and well. But to me, like I guess that's winded way of saying it, but
no,
yeah, ultimately you guys are like, I think it's great, man. Like I love it.
I see that actually hits really hard for me, like really well, I should say. Please don't feel bad for going long-winded about it, because I think it's more important for someone like you who only sees from the outside in to be like, you know what, I like and I respect and like I'm okay, I enjoy the FGC because of the people and not necessarily the games themselves, right? Where you go, I don't know about it, but I understand that these people are passionate about it and they support it well enough where like I give a fuck about it, right? Whereas you might not know the frame data for a bunch of games, so like you don't give a shit about that. But it makes me feel good knowing that like there are people out there who are like you, who go like, I don't know anything about the games themselves, but the people, like, I enjoy that. So like, thank you. I appreciate the sentiments. Because
yeah, for sure. I mean, you guys are fucking like, for the most part, at least the snaps that I get, you guys are fucking just doing what everybody else is doing, but you guys are like adding video games into it, right? Like you guys are, I mean, like the iconic gif of you ripping that fucking shot and giving a thumbs up might be one of the best things I've ever seen. But like to me, like that so encompasses like what you guys like do and what you guys are about, and like I love that. Like I think at the end of the day, man, like I love seeing people have a good time and like loving what they do. And I think like the FGC, like I said, outsider looking in, I think like that's exactly what this group of individuals is like.
Well, fuck, man. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you for the host, Mr. Buford. Much, much appreciated. For anyone that doesn't know, we are live. We're on Twitch right now. If you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, all that stuff in the future, we're live on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Sriracha Flash. SRIRACHA Flash. So if you'd like to come join us live, you know, we're always here. For the most part, we film on Tuesdays and Thursdays with a special exception. We might do weekend shows. But if you are listening on iTunes, throw us a rate and review and subscribe. Tell the people that you love us. Tell the people that you hate us. 1s and 5s only. Don't fuck around with me with like a 3-star review. That doesn't help anybody except for telling anyone you don't really have an opinion. But yeah, so thank you all. See, this is the special part. You throw it into the middle of the fucking stream, or like the middle of the podcast. So like, people don't tune out at the end and they don't like not listening at the beginning. This is perfect right here in the middle. That's how we get them.
Bro, dude, you got this down.
Oh yeah, and also merch. Twitch.tv/Sriracha Flash. We have merch. We have some random merch. We have Sriracha Flash merch. We got all kinds of fun stuff. We got stickers, coasters, cups, leggings, onesies for your babies, posters. Whatever you want, we got it. If you want something made, fucking, you know, you're your own person. Go fucking make your shit. But anyway, there's that. Yeah, and again, thank you, Buford, for the host. Much appreciated. But yeah, like I said, this community is definitely held together. Like, it's very grassroots. And that's a term that gets thrown around a lot for the FGC, is it's grassroots, right? Like, everyone kind of pulls themselves up by their own bootstraps. And, like, as a community, we hoist these events and stuff like that. So yeah, it does mean a lot to me to see that you see it that way. So I guess I'll open it up to the chat. If you have any questions for Pat, feel free to throw them in now. Like I said, Pat he's a casual fighting game player. This is not his main hobby, and that's why I wanted to bring him on, right? Because he has an outsider's perspective to the FGC. So if there's anything that you'd like to ask him about how he views fighting games, how he views the community, like what is the best beer, you go ahead and throw it in the chat. I don't give a shit.
But there you go. That's a fucking topic I can like really relate to. So yeah, you want to throw that shit out there? Like, let's go. I just recently like started drinking craft beer since I moved to like to this city.
We got another one. But we got another one, baby.
Hear
it. He's a convert. He's a convert.
Oh, the craft beers.
Yeah.
Oh man, like I'm still learning, but
listen, that's all right. That's all right.
Fuck.
All right. So
all right.
We've got some questions for the chat, but I'll hold off on those for just 1 second. Pat, this is your platform. This is your soapbox. Whatever you have on your mind, whatever you want to get off your chest, now is your time to get it off your chest and talk about it. Could be anything. Could be fighting games. Could be like the state of the Packers. Could be like the fucking Browns. Shitting it up right now. Your former employer, the Cleveland Browns.
Easy with that. I won't talk about the Browns. Still love my Browns. But of course, like, so look, give me like, I'm gonna do a quick like 20-30 second like soapbox rant. But the Green Bay Packers, baby, like we are back. Like to me, like this defense is looking good. I think like Aaron Rodgers is trying to get it figured out. Matt LaFleur and them will kind of like get on their groove a little bit. But I love that. Love everything that they have going on with it. Very excited about that. Won't talk about the Browns, like I said, because I think there's some things that need to be cleaned up. So, no, man. I mean, I love it. I'm always going to reference sports. So, you know what I mean? It's my career. So I kind of have to go off when I can.
No, that's totally fine. Like I said, I know you can't talk too much shit about your former employer, the Cleveland Browns. So I wouldn't do that to you. And I do actually enjoy the Browns, and I think I actually like watching the Browns now specifically because they are getting better and their team on the rise. But also, once you have a family connection to a team, you're like, yeah, no, I like those guys. Like, I'll fucking watch every game for no reason. Like,
I mean, dude, if we're being honest, like, fuck, I watched maybe like 4 Browns games in my life before I started working there, right? And then, you know, when people cut your paycheck, it's a little bit different. But but like, it's wild though because like you've been to Cleveland, but like going to Cleveland, like that was the first time I like lived in like a big city, and Cleveland's really not a big city, but like the fan base for like those guys is unbelievable. It's unmatched. Like you won't find another fan base like that, and that's like saying a lot because, like I said, I'm a big Packers fan, but the Cleveland Browns fan base is unbelievable.
Yeah, those dudes have always shown up. Like even when the Browns are like 2-14 on the year, like that stadium still like gets a crowd. Like those fans are still out tailgating. Those like they're still like rooting for the like to turn the corner and fucking be like competitive again. And
100%.
It's fucking great. But look, I'm fucking happy that you talked about how great the Packers are. I can't wait to go 14-2 the rest of the way, and win another championship. We're bringing number 14 home, baby.
Go.
But that translates into one of the questions from the chat. Would you play an NFL Blitz fighting game, and who would you want in the game, and who would you play the most?
An NFL Blitz fighting game, and part of that question?
An NFL Blitz fighting game. Who would you want in the game? Like what football players across time would you want in the game? We'll open it up to like the last 30 years. And what?
Oh shit.
Who would you play the most? Who would be your main?
If it's NFL Blitz style and we're opening it up to the past 30 years, I mean, dude, it's got to be Lawrence Taylor, right? Like the original LT. I feel like now you have all these guys that are like 99 and stuff. Like if LT's not like a 99 in an NFL Blitz fighting game, like who the hell would be? The guy was like one of the most unbelievably like dominant and violent guys in the game. And who? I'm trying to think of a random wild card though. Like,
I mean,
here's one: Javon Curse.
Ooh, all right, Javon Curse. Holy shit, the freak, the 5XL glove freak.
I'll throw a random out there. So yeah, I think Javon Curse would be like an unbelievable like addition to it. Or if you want me to go like Packers roots, not Reggie White, but I'm gonna fuck it up, but like Kabir Bajha-Biamila. I think
that's 100% correct.
Yeah. So of course they're all like DNs, like defensive linemen, but like any of those guys is like a main in like a fighting game. I mean, like you got to take them. Like they're the guy for it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think as long as you made like Troy Aikman or Joe Buck, like the training dummy that you just beat the shit out of in training mode, I think that'd be really cool. I know you can't speak to that, but
Joe Buck.
Yeah. Listen, after listening to Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, like, openly root for the Cowboys against the Packers this past weekend, I don't know. Y'all could be a training dummy or something like that in training mode. Like, I don't want to. I don't.
I'm okay.
Yeah, I don't want to play as you, but I definitely want to like throw punches at imaginary Joe Buck.
I mean, yeah, beat the shit out of Joe Buck. Like, I'd be all in on it. But like, God, I hate that guy.
Yeah, I think Lawrence Taylor's a good one. Really quick, like Lawrence Taylor rant. That dude might be the best to ever do it. He is the fucking Michael Jordan of linebackers. You can go and watch like any highlight film of Lawrence Taylor. No one has ever played the game like him, and no one ever will. Like, no one has ever had like the ferocity. Now, I understand that his entire career was fueled by cocaine and Mexican supplements. But like,
you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
But that dude fucking, oh man, he was incredible. But if we're gonna add like, if I have to add some offensive guys to the line, right? I'm gonna say Joe Thomas.
Oh, I love it. Nice little fucking Cleveland Browns reference there.
Absolutely. We'll throw Joe Thomas in there. We'll put Andre Johnson in there.
By the way, side note, Joe Thomas, one of the nicest fucking guys you would ever meet in your entire life. Like, an unbelievable stand-up guy, like, through and through. Like, a guy that put everything into his career, but, like, into the community as well. I mean, like, I don't know if you understand, like, how much he did for the Cleveland Browns community, like, with his time there, but sorry, side note.
No, you're totally fine. Totally fine. No, Joe Thomas is the like as far as anything I've ever heard mostly from in the same way that you see the FGC like through my Twitter timeline. I see the Cleveland Browns through literally direct texting you from like goings on inside the organization.
That's
So,
it, man. Like,
no,
I mean, like, can I like plug my like 15 seconds of fame right now?
fuck yeah,
like,
go right ahead.
if anybody that's listening like wants to know, I was actually on Hard Knocks. Like, at episode 1, like it would have been. It was last year, of course, when the Browns were on Hard Knocks. I was on episode 1 when they do the lake dive. I do it with quotations because like it was supposed to be a dive. It was more like a run in the water. But you see me like front and center because like, I mean, I'm a man that loves to find the camera whenever I can. So like, I'm like, okay, how can I get in this little clip? And I'm right there with ownership and Hugh Jackson running into Lake Erie. So if you want to see that, you will see me in Hard Knocks. But sorry, I just want to plug that in there a little bit.
No, plug away. Whatever you want to fucking plug, go right ahead. Man. So any insight I have into the Browns is through you. So yeah, Joe Thomas, fucking super swell guy. Couldn't say anything bad about him. But yeah, so then I throw Andre Johnson in there from the time he beat the shit out of Cortland Finnegan.
What a great fight!
Dude,
yes, absolutely.
Fucking solid, right? I'd put, we need a running back representation, and we already know that Adrian Peterson can beat the shit out of kids.
You give me yours, and then I'll give you mine.
Okay, so we know that Adrian Peterson can beat the shit out of kids, but I don't think he can do it to grown men. So I won't put Adrian in the game, but
shit, shots fired. Sorry, AP, if you're listening.
But I would put someone. Ooh, goddamn, Earl Thomas or Walter Payton. I think would be excellent for it. Maybe Earl Thomas or not Earl Thomas. Not Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas is the safety. Earl Campbell. There we go. The Houston Oilers running back. I think Earl Campbell would fuck some shit up.
Earl Campbell was pretty violent. Those are pretty good. I think, and this is actually still considered running back, but I would take Mike Allstott as mine.
Listen, an all-time football guy.
Very big football guy.
Very big football guy. Oh, man, yeah. He's in there. For tight ends, OG Kellen Winslow, not like jerking off in the bushes Kellen Winslow, but like his dad, 1980s, like Chargers tight end Kellen Winslow, totally fine. Yeah, I think those
Jared Hernandez? No,
you can't put him in the game. You can't put him in the game.
So I would take, if I was going to throw out a tight end for this, I think you got to go like Jeremy Shockey if you're going to stick with like, if you're going to go with like the U.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, Jeremy Shockey's in there.
You get addition with that too.
All right. This is the last one, and then we'll get off of this. Well, the last two parts of this. You have to put a quarterback in the game. Who do you put in?
In general?
Yeah, you have to put a quarterback in the NFL blitz fighting game, right?
Oh, like I thought you were talking about like 2-minute drill, baby. Let's go.
No. So you have to put a quarterback into the NFL blitz fighting game. Who is it?
Quarterback into the ML blitz fighting game. I love this. I love this one actually. I think more than any of the other picks because I feel like there's like so many options, but there's like sleeper options there too. You can probably go like Jared Lorenzen or something.
Put
that big boy in there.
I was gonna say the hefty lefty, fucking the Pillsbury throw boy. I wanted to put him in there so he would be like Rufus in Street Fighter 4 or like Fat Bob and Tekken, where like they're big fat guys, but they're super agile.
Dude, I just love it, bro. Like I feel like there's this like a countless amount of like combos and things you could do with Jared Lorenzen in a game like that, and it's almost like shout out Bo Rai Cho in Mortal Kombat, dude. Like let's get Jared Lorenzen in some of that shit.
Oh fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, Jared Lorenzen's probably the best one, like for comedy and like as an honor to that dude for fucking everything that he did. Like
love it, dude, for sure.
So I was gonna say Randall Cunningham, but I think I'll just stick with Jared Lorenzen. I think Lorenzen deserves to be in the NFL blitz fighting game.
Randall Cunningham, all right, I like that one too.
Yeah, I think that dude would be like, he'd be like the Eddie Gordo of the fucking NFL blitz fighting game.
Dude, yes. Shout out Eddie Gordo, bro. Oh, man.
Look, while we're sticking to sports, Andrew Luck can take a hit. Unfortunately, I don't think he wants to take anymore. All right, who is your favorite athlete of all time?
Favorite athlete of all time? This is just athlete in general.
Yeah, like this doesn't have to be in the fighting game. This is separate. This is who is your favorite athlete of all time, fucking across any sport.
I mean, I want to say like Brett Favre because like Brett Favre. One, he's the reason I'm a Packers fan, but two, like I just like love the way like that guy just like everything else. Now, if we're not discussing like the shit that happened off field between like the Jets and like the all that stuff, because I mean the man just doesn't know how to work a flip phone. But I think it would probably be Brett Favre if I'm going football, and I got to think like, I mean, a different athlete.
I mean, look,
fuck, man, I don't know. I feel like there's so many.
Listen, I'll throw mine out there. I'll stall you some time.
You go ahead.
My favorite athlete of all time, like non-football athlete, right? John Daly. John Daly.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Such an inspiration, John Daly. I love it when you shotgun a beer on the 9th tee and then rip a rail off this chick's ass, like right there as well, like on the green.
And then you shoot your fucking tee shot off the can that you just shotgunned.
I love it, dude. All right, yeah. If we're going that, fuck yeah, man. John Daly's the guy.
John Daly. But if I'm going like football, Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis, the best athlete of all time. For me, I think. Look, he's.
That's a little problematic.
All right. If I
Ray Lewis, probably the worst Hall of Fame speech I've ever heard.
Yeah, he gave a speech like I do a podcast. It's rambling nonsense.
It was so long, dude. I because everybody's talking about it after it like happened, and I was like, oh, let me listen to it. I made it like 20 minutes into it, and I was like, I can't fucking listen to this anymore.
That's the fucking problem.
So ridiculous, dude.
That's the problem right there. When your Hall of Fame speech is 20 minutes long, when someone goes, I made it 20 minutes in, you're already 15 minutes over the fucking time.
Way over, bro. Like, chill out. Fuck. It's short and sweet. When Aaron Rodgers gets into the Hall of Fame, I hope he like gets in, and I just want him to just be like, you knew I was gonna be here, and mic drop the shit and just walk off stage.
You knew I was gonna be here. Also, still fuck my brother for being an asshole, and then drop the mic and get out of there.
I love it, bro. Yeah, fuck Jordan Rodgers. Can we say that on this podcast? Fuck Jordan Rodgers.
Yeah, for real. No, that's fine. I'm vehemently anti Jordan Rodgers. Fuck you and fuck Vanderbilt.
Oh God!
Did I want Favre in the blitz fighting game? I don't want Favre in the blitz fighting game because I don't want to see one of my heroes get the shit kicked out of him all the time.
That's fair.
All right, man. Well, I think
that's fair. You imagine what that fatality would be like, though. Super fucking inappropriate.
Well, 100%. But like Favre's fatality,
just knock your head off or something.
Like Favre's fatality, where he has a fucking rocket arm, so he just throws a football through somebody, and then like takes a picture with his flip phone of like their corpse with the fucking hole in it.
I can definitely see that. Yeah, you can get creative with that one. All right, that's actually a pretty good one. Fuck it, let's throw him in there.
Yeah, fuck it. Favre gets in there. Favre gets in there for his fatality alone. All right. Well, on the Favre fatality note, I think we're gonna call that a show, man. We've already been here for 90 minutes now. I can't believe it. Time has fucking flown by.
It's kind of wild. Yeah, man. No, I mean, some closing thoughts on my end. Appreciate you having me on this. Like, this is, like I said, man, I think this is a really cool, like, for somebody like you that's kind of like always been passionate about this stuff and then just kind of building up your brand a little bit, like year over year, and kind of like seeing you grow through this. I think it's really cool, man. So excited for you, excited for the whole community, the FGC community, and kind of like, hopefully to see you guys on the rise too and continue to grow. But really happy for you, man. Always good chatting with you, but love you. And yeah, man, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it gets fucking tough to want to do these things. Like, it's just getting the gumption up and like not being scared of like going out and doing this. It kind of sucks sometimes. So thank you. I do appreciate it, and hopefully I can continue to give a good product to the FGC, and hopefully y'all enjoy this.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. Thank you again, Pat. If people want to find you on the internet, where can they find you at?
Don't. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, like my internet is very, very limited. My Twitter is I don't think anybody here would be very interested in what it is. A lot of it is consisting of like sports talk and random stuff. But if you are interested in that, it's at PatG623, Instagrams at PatG6. But if you are interested, like I said, really not much content to go off of there. But yeah, I might as well plug that in a little bit.
Yeah. 100%.
Also, like I said, other plug. I was in Hard Knocks, so still keep it.
Yeah, other plug, episode 1 of Hard Knocks from the 2018 season.
Literally a small glimpse, but whatever, I'll say.
Oh, man. Well, if y'all want to find me on the internet, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and xhamster.com at Sriracha Flash. If you want to listen to the show, we're on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. I think we're going to on iHeartRadio now, so we're all over the place. Fucking one of these days, I'm just gonna replace Howard Stern and just get an XM radio show.
Let's go.
So you can find me there. Thank you everyone for tuning in. This has been Some Random. This has been Pat. Y'all have yourselves a good night. We'll see you later.
Appreciate it. Take care, man.